Good morning. My name is Lisa Soren, and I am the chair of the Bally's Bronx Community Advisory Committee. Upon the receipt of a completed application in response to the request for applications issued pursuant to New York Racing, okay, we're going to skip that one. Law Title 2A, the commission will establish a community advisory committee for each application received based upon the physical location of the proposed gaming facility. Having received a completed application for a project on 450 Hutchison River Parkway in the Bronx, New York, the commission has established a community advisory committee for the Bally's Bronx project. By statute, such CAC consists of appointees made of the governor, state senators, state assembly member, mayor, and borough president, and council member who represent the area where the facility is proposed. Sorry. I will now call the roll of appointed members. Rafael Salabarios, appointed by Governor Hochul.
Present.
Alex Borco, appointed by Senator Natalia Fernandez.
Present.
Matthew McKay, appointed by Assembly Member Michael Benedetto.
Present.
Paul Phillips, appointed by Mayor Eric Adams.
Present.
Danielle Volpe, appointed by Councilmember Christy Marmorato.
Present.
And myself, Lisa Soren, appointed by the Bronx Borough President Vanessa Gibson. Pursuant to the general construction, a quorum shall be established by the presence of 4 members. Since a quorum of qualified members is present, we can continue with business. We're going to move on to the approval of meeting minutes. The next item of business is the approval of the minutes from the organizational meeting held on August 8, 2025, and the CAC's meeting held on September 15, 2025, which was to request amendments to the Bally's Bronx application. Bronx minutes, draft minutes of both meetings are available on the CAC website. Can I get a motion to approve these minutes? Motion by Matt, second.
Second.
By Paul. It has been moved and seconded that the meeting minutes for August 8th and September 15, 2025 be accepted as presented. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? For the minutes
Oh,
and the amendments from the meeting. Good? Danielle?
I said aye.
Oh, okay, sorry, I didn't hear you. Having no opposed, the motion carries and both meeting minutes have been approved. Consideration and vote Bally's Bronx proposed amendments to the application as per guidance issued by the Gaming Facility Location Board on June 23rd and September 3rd. A bidder may make a promise, commitment, or obligation. All promises, commitments, or obligations must be definitive, meaning not incumbent on future state or local discretionary action, and unconditioned inability of the bidder to perform. A CAC request a bidder change or modify their application. Changes, promises, commitments, or obligations must be incorporated into an application for the board or commission to have any role in the enforcement of such. No change or modification necessitating a change to either the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act or New York City Environmental Quality Review process can be considered. The committee received formal amendments to the Bally's Bronx application from Bally's team. All right. You want me to go through the amendments first? Perfect. Okay, we had reviewed some of these during the prior meeting, so I'm going to just highlight some and focus on some of the last minute changes that we're able to do. Workforce and MWBE remain the same as printed on the website. Excuse me, transportation, again, all the applications and amendments remain the same since the last meeting. The design, again, same as the last meeting. I'm just reading the headlines. If you have any questions, by all means, give me a, now's the time to ask. Community Benefits Fund Board. Here we have some edits and changes. We believe the 4 elected officials of the CAC should have an integral role in the selection and management of 11-member council. While we defer to the Community Benefits Fund and elected officials to establish governance structures and set priorities, we want to emphasize the importance of including Community Board 9 as a key neighbor and participant in the process. Additionally, based on the information and Q&A posted on the New York State Gaming Commission and Gaming Facilities Board, it is important to note that CAC's duties and responsibility conclude following the vote prior to September 30th. Additionally, Bally's is amendable to the formation of the board at the time of licensure and not at the time of opening. While the primary funds to allocate would not yet be generated by the project, Bally's would cover the administrative expenses to establish this body, which will have an important role in helping identify and promote hiring, workforce development, and sourcing activities within. At the request of the CAC, we will work with the New York City Parks Department to form some of the trust in collaboration with Parks Department to manage Ferry Point Park and improvements and maintenance of green spaces on an ongoing basis as part of the Community Benefits Fund. Furthermore, Bally's will have an executive task to work hand in hand with the Community Benefits Fund Board. And yes, it's possible to execute. This executive will be hired from the community. Bally's will provide requisite support to the board, including in-house administrative support, as well as meeting space and property. One highlight here, the change, we commit to an annual contribution of 1% of gross gaming revenue, with the minimum originally was 12.5 on the website. It is now 15 million. With the above increases included, the entire package will represent originally 27.5 million to now 32 million of ongoing annual support upon opening of the project. Bally's will leave the specific funding directives to be made by the Community Benefits Fund Board to the board, including discretion on selecting investments or other improvements to be made. Bally's will provide advisory guidance to the Community Benefits Board that projects and institutions would be funded within CB10 first. Then we would note in our guidance that, as we have mentioned previously, this project for all the Bronx. Any questions on any of that? Okay, all of this will be found on the website for.
Yeah, a quick question.
Of course.
Community Board 10. I understand they're going to fund Project Community Board 10. Are they saying, I wasn't clear whether the funds would be expended first to Community Board 10 and then to the rest of the borough? Or not?
Correct.
So if they run out of money in Community Board 10, no one else in the Bronx gets anything?
No, I believe the way it's handled is a portion of it. The majority of the portion would be going to Board 10, with the balance of that going Bronx in its entirety.
Great.
And that's only temporary, at which point it'll expand.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. Those are the major changes. Everything else, again, can be found on the website. There's a lot of paper here. Okay. The committee received the formal amendments, and as I read them, to the Bally's Bronx application from the Bally's team. At this point, we'll move forward with a vote on whether or not to accept the changes proposed by the applicant. I will call on each member individually to vote yay or nay on the proposed changes. Ray Salavarios,
Yay.
Alex Porcom,
Yay.
Matthew McKay,
Yay.
Paul Phillips,
Yay.
Danielle Volpe. I, Lisa Soren, vote yay. The changes proposed by the Bally's team to this application received 5 positives, meaning the change have been accepted. This committee, as required by the statute, has reviewed the Bally's Bronx application, held 2 public hearings on August 19th and September 9th, and received email and written comments regarding the application. The committee will now vote on a finding establishing public support, approving or disapproving the application. For an application to be advanced for the Gaming Facility Location Board consideration, 4 affirmative votes must be received. On the question whether Bally's Bronx have presented in its application should advance to the Gaming Facility Location Board for consideration. I will call on each member individually to vote yea or nay on the question, and should they desire, explain their vote. Ray Salavarios.
I vote yay. As a lifelong Bronx resident, I think that what we're voting for is for the Bronx Bally's Casino to have an opportunity to prove to the Gaming Commission that it should receive the license. I believe that the project overall is beneficial to the borough of the Bronx, and I happily vote yay.
Thank you. Alex?
I vote yay. Chair, permission to explain my vote.
Of course.
So first, I'd like to say that serving on this committee and serving this community I was born and raised in has been a great honor of my life, and I thank you all. Also serving on the committee. I'd like to thank the member who appointed me to this committee, Senator Natalia Fernandez. The senator's placed trust in me to do what's right, and I'll always be grateful for this opportunity to serve. I spent virtually my whole life in the Bronx, and I know what it feels like when our borough is left behind. Right now, with federal cuts on the horizon, lives are on the line. Even when the government funding wasn't in jeopardy, the Bronx was constantly being overlooked. The way these CACs were set up were so that the public can level the playing field. If a company wants to come into a community and do business, they need to become a community partner. They need to put their money where their mouth is, and they need to be accountable to people who allow them to do business here. We have pushed for all of these aspects, and to their credit, Bally's has met our request. This project could finally mean self-sufficiency for the Bronx, jobs, programs for our kids and seniors. It's $100 million for our parkland, tens of millions a year in direct funding straight to the Bronx neighborhoods, with Community Board 10 and its residents having for dealing of development. It's the largest community benefits package of any proposal in the Bronx, period. If we seize this chance, we decide, yes, we can build an economic engine that finally puts the Bronx in control of its own future. These funds will be controlled by the community, for the community, and for these and many other reasons, I vote aye.
Thank you. Matthew McKay.
I prepared a statement. Serving on this community advisory committee has been an honor. Our role has been to make sure that if this project moves forward, it does so in a way that strengthens our neighborhoods, improves quality of life, and delivers real benefits to the Bronx, especially the East Bronx communities that will most directly be impacted. Through this process, we secured commitments that now total over $30 million annually, along with capital investments that will support public safety, schools, jobs, parks, and environmental resilience. One of the most important pieces to me is the Community Benefit Fund. We secured a $15 million annual floor tied to 1% of Bally's gross gaming revenue. That means as Bally's revenues grow, so too will the resources available to support our neighborhoods. The fund will be created at licensure, and residents from the local zip codes with Community Board 10 will have voices on that board. This ensures that those most directly impacted will be represented in how resources are directed and how decisions are made. Through this process, I had the opportunity to meet and work with people who share a commitment to our community and to this project, which carries real potential for our district and the Bronx. This has been challenging work, but work that matters, making sure the project creates lasting benefits for the neighborhoods I grew up in and am now raising a family in. I had the privilege of meeting with local residents I deeply respect, including people I've known for much of my life, as well as new neighbors I met along the way. I asked for their opinions and encouraged them to share their concerns. Those conversations directly shaped the requests I brought into this process. Through the CAC's amendments, we ensured those voices were not only heard, but reflected directly in Bally's application. We worked to address public safety and quality of life issues with funding for traffic enforcement and additional officers in the 45th precinct, something we currently lack due to low manpower. This support is especially important for neighborhoods like Locust Point and Throgstack, where traffic at bridge entrances and exits is a constant problem, and for local roads often burdened when traffic from both bridges is rerouted. These investments will also help the precinct respond more effectively to everyday concerns about neighborhood safety and are central to ensuring this project works for the people who live here. We also ensure that benefits are allocated to the areas most impacted, including dedicated resources for residents of the local zip codes within Community Board 10 with a preference for local hiring. This is a hardworking neighborhood, and the people here deserve to see the first and greatest return on this investment. The project has the potential to give young people not only jobs today, but career pathways for the future in industries where stability and benefits are too often out of reach. In addition, we secure commitments for maintenance and security upgrades to Ferry Point Park, as well as upgrades to other local parks that are in desperate need of investment. Environmental issues were also central to our discussions. Bally's has pledged millions of dollars for environmental initiatives, including support for improving the water quality of Eastchester Bay and other measures to mitigate flooding, storm impacts, and sustainability concerns. These investments can strengthen our resiliency and address issues that government funding alone has struggled to resolve. The Community Benefit Fund is designed to be run by the people for the people, supporting local institutions, both private and public schools, nonprofits, veterans groups, senior programs, and the organizations that hold our neighborhoods together. Institutions like Preston High School, which nearly closed, are exactly what we need to preserve if we want our community to thrive. This is the project for the future of the Bronx. While our amendments focus on the communities most directly impacted, these benefits will far extend across the borough and make ways that strengthen us as a whole. With that, I cast my vote aye or yay for this application to move forward to the Gaming Commission for consideration. I thank my fellow CHC members for their commitment. I thank Noreen and the team at NITEC, including the audiovisual team, who I think did a great job. I also thank Assemblymember Michael Benedetto for his leadership and support throughout this process and for nominating me. And I want to thank the governor for establishing this process, which gave the people of our district and the Bronx a voice before anything is built. Thank you.
Well,
Yes, I have a statement that I'd like to read. So as the mayor's office has emphasized throughout this process, we believe casinos can serve as major economic development initiatives, creating good paying jobs and delivering benefits to the city, region, and local communities. The mayor's office and city agencies worked with every applicant to help ensure they were competitive in the state's process. The Bally's proposal is an exciting opportunity for the Bronx to share in the benefits of licensed full-scale commercial casinos in the downstate region. I vote yay.
thank you. Danielle,
First of all, I want to thank my fellow committee members. It has been an honor getting to know all of you, and NITEC and Noreen especially. You guys have made this process so smooth and wonderful. I have listened to the residents of the community that would house this casino, and I've carefully reviewed the proposal and weighed all the impacts of this project. Every community advisory committee that has voted against casino proposals across the city has done so due to lack of genuine community support. This proposal should be no different. Our own Community Board 10 voted overwhelmingly against this plan, making it clear the residents who will be most directly affected do not want this casino. The numbers showing support versus opposition from speakers and write-in emails also show that the majority are opposed. It's also important to note that the New York City Council voted against the zoning changes required for this project to move forward. The only reason we are sitting here considering it is because the mayor chose to veto that decision. That veto does not erase the opposition from both the council and the community. It only prolongs a process that should have ended with the will of the people. This project also raises serious concerns about the alienation of public parklands. To this day, Bally's has failed to identify any new parklands within the community to replace what would be lost, and they do not plan on doing so. This is not only unacceptable, it goes against the long-standing principle that public parkland, once taken, must be replaced with lands of equal or greater value to the community. Beyond this, there are environmental concerns, traffic congestion, and added burdens on already strained municipal services. These are real immediate risks to the quality of life in our neighborhood. The solutions that Bally's have offered to mitigate traffic in an already heavily congested area are inadequate and will fall short. Widening Ring Road and building an overpass in this location will not solve congestion. It will disrupt our neighborhoods and it will increase pollution in a borough that already suffers from the highest asthma rates in this nation. These measures are simply not acceptable. I'm also deeply concerned about Bally's financial stability and ability to deliver. Credit downgrades, declining revenue, high debt levels, and ongoing challenges with their Chicago project raise serious doubts about whether Bally's can sustain a multi-billion-dollar project while fulfilling its commitments to this community. I understand that the Bronx needs meaningful economical development, but it should not come at the cost of exploiting our community and our borough. What is being offered to us through this casino proposal is not worth the burden it would place on the Bronx. What the Bronx truly needs are better schools, real investments in our community, safe family and green spaces, affordable housing and opportunities that uplift our residents for generations, not a casino that would add traffic, crime, and instability to our neighborhoods. We deserve investments that strengthen our communities and support our families, not a project that threatens to undermine them. I chose to participate in this process to represent my community as a lifelong resident of the Bronx, a proud lifelong resident of the Bronx. I don't have any outside interests, no corporate developers, and no political agenda whatsoever. My responsibility here is to reflect the clear will of the people. This proposal is unresponsive, dismissive, and disconnected from the surrounding community. The people who actually live here and the ones who will be most affected by this casino. I have heard my community, and their opposition is clear. Today, I'm speaking for them, and that's why I'm voting no on Bally's Casino in the Bronx.
Thank you, Danielle. And I, before I make my vote, also have a statement. As president of the Bronx Chamber of Commerce and a Bronx resident, I am honored to serve on the Community Advisory Committee as an appointee of the Bronx Borough President, Vanessa L. Gibson, and to have been selected as chair for this committee by my fellow committee members. First, thank you to my fellow CHC members, our consultants, and most importantly, the residents, business owners, workers, faith leaders, and advocates who show up, wrote in, and made your voices heard. Participation is a lifeblood of good decision-making. Across our 2 public hearings, we had 119 speakers who testified, 97 in favor and 22 opposed. The CAC also received a total of 131 written comments, of which 103 were opposed and 24 in favor. I listened closely to every perspective, whether from neighbors in the immediate impact area, small business owners on the commercial corridors, or workers and unions who will build and operate this project. This is a complex, deeply felt issue. The testimony reflected that passionately and at times contentiously. It also made clear that the decision before us is not about whether casinos exist in New York State. They do. It is about whether this particular proposal can credibly and responsibly deliver more benefits than burdens for the Bronx, and whether the applicant will be a partner we can hold accountable. The Bronx Chamber of Commerce represents employers of all sizes, from family-owned bodegas and restaurants to construction firms, manufacturers, cultural institutions, hospitals, Fortune 500 companies, and anchor nonprofits. Our mission is simple: help Bronx businesses start, hire, grow, and stay. From that vantage point, the potential upside of this project is significant. Thousands of union construction jobs, long-term operational roles across hospitality, facilities, security, retail, entertainment, and management, paired with career ladders, training, and local hire goals that matter in a borough that still fights for equitable access to opportunity. A year-round destination means new foot traffic to nearby restaurants, retailers, and service providers, vendor opportunities for local suppliers, and targeted corridor investments that strengthen neighborhood commerce. Substantial reoccurring tax and fee revenues that will help fill tremendous funding gap of the MTA and can help support schools, safety, parks, sanitation, and infrastructure, needs our members and residents feel every day. I want to be equally clear about the concerns we've heard, especially for the immediate Throxmore community: traffic, parking, school and infrastructure capacity, public safety, problem gambling, quality of life, and environmental impacts along sensitive waterfront residential areas. Those are real, specific, and legitimate. They must be addressed in writing with timelines, metrics, and community oversight. This is a tremendous project that will bring a resort that will attract tens of thousands of guests every day into a densely populated residential district, and those residents must be protected for the significant impacts that will come with a project of this scope and size. Based on Bally's engagement to date, I believe they understand the scale of this responsibility. They're asking this community to shoulder. We have discussed the following items and expect these to be non-negotiable elements to this project. Traffic and transportation plan with funded improvements, construction staging rules, transportation demand management measures, including shuttles, transit partnerships, and parking protections for residents, monitored quarterly and publicly reported. Local hiring and workforce development benchmarks, including a PLA robust apprenticeship pipeline and clear targets for Bronx residents, plus MWBE local procurement goals with transparent reporting. Public safety and quality of life commitments, on-site and perimeter security coordination with NYPD, litter, streetscape maintenance, and a 24/7 community hotline with guarantee response protocols. Responsible gaming programs with third-party partnerships, employee training, on-site counseling, referral resources, and dedicated funding for prevention. Community investments tied to measurable outcomes, corridor improvements, youth and senior programming, parks and recreational enhancements, and support for local nonprofits. Environmental stewardship and resilience measures appropriate for the site with construction mitigations, air, noise controls, and post-opening performance standards. Great cities make hard choices. Not every city-shaping project can be placed where no one is impacted. That place does not exist. The question is whether the collective benefits for the Bronx, jobs, revenue, investment, and long-term economic mobility outweigh the localized burdens, and whether those burdens can be mitigated credibly, enforceably, and transparently. Having weighed the full record before us, the testimonies, the written comments, the applicant's commitments, and the economic realities faced by Bronx households and businesses, it is my judgment that support in the community exceeds opposition, and that the benefits can outweigh harms. Accordingly, I vote yes to find community support for Bally's application. A yes today is not a blank check for tomorrow. It is a mandate to deliver, measure, course correct in partnership with the people most affected. To every neighbor who opposed this project, your concerns shaped my expectation and will shape the conditions I press to include. To every supporter, your hopes for jobs, contracts, and investments are heard and must be realized here in the Bronx, not promised and postponed. Finally, my thanks again to my CAC members, Bronx Borough President Gibson, and our state and city partners, and every resident and stakeholder who engaged in this process. The work does not end with this vote, it begins with it. Let's hold the applicant and ourselves accountable to the standards we set today. I vote yay. The question is whether to advance the application to the Gaming Facility Location Board has received 5 positive votes, meaning the application has been approved. This CAC will record its votes with all members endorsing their votes. We will promptly transmit our determination to the Gaming Facility Location Board and the applicant through New York State. Nice step, yes. In addition, this committee will provide a copy of all materials upon which the affirmative decision was based to the Gaming Location Board. Do any members have any items they would like to present for consideration before we adjourn? Hearing no other items for consideration, I thank my fellow committee members for the public service. This meeting of the Community Advisory Committee for Bally's Bronx is hereby adjourned.